Hello from Minsk. This is a podcast pigeon of peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about Freudism and let's start with the definition.
Fredism is the theory which was developed by Sigmund Freud about our unconscious. Our mind and personality is very dependent and very emphasis of the influence of our unconscious. For example, from the sex and particular sex ones, makes us sometimes very angry or dependent from something. Key component includes the structure of the psychic, ID, ego, and also superego, and the significance of the childhood's переживания. Let me remember how to say it. Experience and dreams.
What is your
maybe.
experience? All of it.
Okay. Thank you. So while Freudism was developed, it became more and more controversial, and a lot of people who were involved then split from the Freud and create their own theories, and a lot of psychologists blame Freud to pay too many attention to the sex, but at the end of the life, Freud was talking more and more about unconscious, more than sexuality.
And when we actually look into the overall skill and the theory itself, if let's say the sex is like a basis, or maybe I would say like a driver for most of the things, is in this theory, like when we speak about the foundation, is there's in a theory there is like a progression saying yes, it could be moved, but like this is how it could be used, this is how the human could be evolved. Because what I do believe, again, this is like a little tiny theory of mine, like if let's say we started as an animals, probably if we want to go there, it should be like certain level of evolution. So whether Freud is actually touching on the next step in the theory.
It's quite complicated question for me, but let's try to answer. Freud is talking about thoughts, memories, and desires which could grow in our natural behavior because we were wild animals. And he also offers not to shy about this. Yes, okay, men want to have a sex, why not? And woman is playing sexual game, but she also knows that this is inevitable. So it could be an impact to create social life, to make competition, to make even our world better, as you always ask in the last question of each video.
Well, and we actually, okay, we'll try to go back to the global perspective, maybe to land on some more like a practical things. Because if let's say we do take as a given that like everything is about sex in whatever forms, it's maybe like implication to sex, it's maybe thinking or reminding, like how do, when we interact with the different people, like with the different genders, etc., like how do we, let's say if we want to achieve certain things, like we want to convince someone, we want to make sure that we look good or we does not look bad in front of the eyes of someone, how do we use this like a thinking in order to interact with people so that we know, okay, there is a sexual matter for that, whatever is that, we consider that and we behave in a way so that it could help us to achieve our goals, no matter what they are.
Let's imagine that not you and me talking right now, but our horrors in the mind are talking. And those horrors has several voices. First is ID. ID is a primal part of our mind, and it is responsible for sexual instinct and pleasure. Ego is a rational part of our head, and think about in between desires and superego demands. And demands and the superego is something very moralistic and practical things, and it will be like an adult person. So sometimes we talk like a childish. It would be on the lowest level, it's about desire. Sometimes it would be ego, okay, I want something by myself. And sometimes we talk with other people on the level of super ego, okay, let's do it together and let's take into account all needs of all of us. So the Freud develops sort of psychosexual stages, which will be used in our life in independence, how well developed our personality. And people who stay on the high positions, they could hide their desires. It's like, do you remember this character, Jekyll and Hyde? One is a good person at day and another is bad at night.
And I do remember there is one phrase that you said that one of the skills that you said, like the women, they actually would look into men, not in terms of like whether they're good or like bad or whatever, rich or not, but they look into the perspective. And I do believe it's somehow, okay, again, I'm trying to play a game, like trying to connect the dots here, but somehow it's also could be connected to the sexual thing, like whether, you know, like I can give a life to something new with this person and whether this life will be successful or not. And knowing that, you know, like we all different people, we all, you know, like trying to aim to something, whether, as you said, it's possible to channel the energy to, you know, like help to someone, or vice versa, make sure that, you know, like you want to maintain certain, I would say, the attitude. For example, something that struck me actually right before recording, what I realized, all of the sports game, it's about, you know, like, again, I will try to use a metaphoric, is to put something into the hole, like whatever, like the competition, but at the end of the day, it is all of the absent or bad words is about, you know, like have a sex with someone in whatever form. So whether there is a good way to actually channel this energy, if we say the theory is solid, and actually put it to the good use.
You remind me the story I told you before about Maya. I have been to Yucatan, and on one excursion, guide was talking about a very special game. It was a rubber ball which was fired up, and then two teams of different tribes were playing with it. And this ball was like a symbol to the head, and it was passing by the legs, but you should throw it like in a basket to the wall, but basket is just one. And then if the team would lose, the captain of the team would lose his head. And this was like in exchange, not make war, but make sport games. Yes, sometimes our sport is rely on the sexual, about whole, or sometimes it would rely on war. Let's make war, but not so many deaths. Do you remember this film, if I'm not mistaken, Troy, when two persons would fight to save life of the armies? The same would be with Freud. Sometimes we just should understand that our competition in life will never stop. It's like, please help me, peacock would be pavlin.
It's a
Okay,
peacock, yes.
thank you. Okay, it was a very nice phrase of one psychologist who was talking about Freud. He told something like this: everything the man or woman do, it always could be рассмотрено.
Reviewed or contemplated.
Wow, contemplated as a peacock tail. So sometimes we show something by words, by bodies, by some skills, just to impress someone.
Okay, and maybe I will try to again like switch a bit of gears, because I wanted to speak about, you know, like all of the psychological traumas, etc., and how to deal with them. Probably will leave it to another topic, but I was thinking that probably if you look into the modern world, let's try to pretend there is like a conspiracy. And if you look into the tendencies, you know, like of the young people, it seems that more or less like asexuality of the, you know, like modern age become more or less important, meaning that, you know, like people would think, okay, which iPhone I should get, or, you know, like how do I consume more, or, you know, like which food is good or not, while, you know, like developing on a deep relationships, because I do believe like sex and love is, you know, like goes hand in hand when you want to build something better. And if there is a conspiracy in whatever form, in whatever shape, intentional or not, there's also might be, you know, like it's might be relying on this theory saying like remove this from life and the life probably would be destroyed. So if we would try to, you know, like play and contemplate this theory, does it make sense, or maybe trends are different?
Okay, let's recall your life. You have been to Bali, and maybe you have been to some temples, to some hills, and you saw a lot of wild monkeys which are going around tourists and trying to take out from them like peanuts, candies, and even rings on the eyes. And if you see, they do everything in time. So they have sex, and after 1 second they would eat, and after then would fight, and then they would make grooming and something like this. So for them, sex is not a shame. It's quite usual. And for example, if you go to some tribes of Africa, it is also not obligatory to have rings or to be married to have sex and something like this. But when we go to Europe, we would understand that church and society try to press to the woman not to be involved in sexual relations topics, because it is dangerous for relatives, for families to split the treasure. So on new territories, it's quite usual to have a lot of sex and a lot of childs, and Freudism would blossom up there. But if you will go to the old countries, you will find that a lot of morality and a lot of thinkers would tell that Freud was mistaken. And there is also a good topic which was pronounced quite often, something like this: sometime banana is just a banana. And let's remind us also Carl Jung and Alfred Adler, they also develop some their own variation of psychoanalytics with also using term Freudism. So from one point of view, Freudism is too implicated to sex, but from other point of view, it is true. So we should consider themselves less like a weird monkeys, одетые обезьяны. Weird monkeys?
Or dressed monkeys.
Sorry?
Dressed monkeys.
Sorry, dressed monkeys. So it's quite usual, and it is not obligatory to divide or split our thinking to orthodox or original Freud techniques.
And then my last question will be how knowing about Freudism could help to make this world a better place.
Freudism, it's a theory which is quite controversial, but from other side, it's freed us up. So we became able to talk about these topics. Before Freud, a lot of people were trying to make a lot of euphemism and use some very special words. And also, especially men were afraid of women's vulva and so on, and they were creating some mystics, myths, and so on. And after Freud, we just understand that men are afraid of women.
Well, at least it would save humanity some time. And we reviewed the skill of Freudism and how it could be helpful for your life. Stay in peace.